2016, Eddie Griffin said, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa. Apparently very slowly, because in Trump's 4 years, he only got as far as Van Nuys. George Lopez once said that if Trump won, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. George Lopez still here. And it doesn't look like the migrant traffic is going back. Gosh, it almost seems like the world is full of suffering, intolerance, and oppression on a scale we can't imagine. But that can't be true, because if it was, we'd be protesting it. It must only happen in Israel. And if, for your exile, you do wind up in some comparatively luxurious place like Canada or Japan or the UK, not that they want you. At best, you'll be trading a bunch of stuff you hate about this country for a bunch of stuff you'll soon hate about your new home.
Bill Maher just took a brutal swipe at woke Hollywood and the politicians who enable it, and honestly, it's something else to watch. Remember those celebrities who swore up and down they'd pack their bags and leave this country if Trump got elected? Well, it's been 2 years. They're still here. Every single one of them. And Ma, he didn't let that slide quietly. His takedown was sharp, direct, and completely ruthless. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, because we're just getting into it.
To run for office in America, you have to want to live here. I bring this up because there was a video that made the rounds recently by a woman who said she was a proud progressive and was running for state representative in New Hampshire, and yet posted this.
Is there a place we can move that people would be happy to have us, that we're not gentrifying or colonizing? I don't want to be a problem, but I need to get the out of this country.
The out of this country? The one you want to be elected to a leadership position in? What was your campaign slogan? America, a shining on a hill.
Here's the deal. How many times have we watched politicians, particularly on the Democratic side, dramatically declare they want out of this country, while simultaneously holding some of the most powerful leadership positions in the very place they claim they can't stand? It's a contradiction that gets harder to ignore every time it happens. On one hand, they paint America as a nation in freefall, problems so severe, so unbearable, that staying feels like a personal compromise. On the other hand, they stay deeply embedded in its political structure, collecting paychecks, accumulating influence, and benefiting from the exact system they're out there criticizing. Let's be real, that's hypocrisy at its finest. And here's where it gets interesting. A lot of folks are starting to notice that America isn't nearly as broken as these voices need it to be. But keeping that narrative alive, keeping Trump and the GOP looking as bad as possible, that requires leaning into exaggeration, into emotional rhetoric, into amplifying every flaw while quietly burying every strength. It stops being honest discourse and starts being something a lot more calculated.
Now, does America have big problems? Yes, I've often cited the America sucks list. Things like being 54th in the world in infant mortality behind Cuba, 19th in literacy behind Russia, 72nd in female representation in government behind Iraq. A lot of work to do here. And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet, not by a long shot, and we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it. Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have.
Maher doesn't dance around it. He goes straight for the jugular, calling out these politicians as entitled whiners, and honestly, that critique lands because it's rooted in something real. There's a genuine disconnect in tearing down a country with one hand while cashing in on its privileges with the other. Here's what people conveniently forget. The United States didn't build its global standing by accident. Sure, it's got flaws, every nation does, no exceptions. But it also runs one of the most durable democratic systems on earth, backs one of the most powerful economies in history, maintains a military that shapes global security, and operates an electoral process that, for all its criticism, still serves as a reference point for countries still figuring out how democracy works. That combination of strengths is exactly why millions of people around the world are still trying to get here. So when American leaders stand at a podium and exaggerate their own country's failures for political gain, it doesn't come across as honest. It comes across as calculated rhetoric engineered to shape a narrative rather than reflect what's actually happening on the ground.
59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing. I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave?
And here's the contradiction that really doesn't add up. Many of the same voices calling America fundamentally broken are the ones pushing hardest for more open immigration policies, arguing passionately that this country should open its doors wider, offer more protection, create more pathways, and remain a destination worth fighting to reach. They spend real political capital making the case that America is worth coming to. And then, in almost the same breath, some of those same people talk openly about wanting to leave it. So cut to the chase. Which is it? If this country is truly as damaged as the messaging suggests, why pour energy into bringing more people into it? And if it's genuinely still a land of opportunity worth advocating for, worth building toward, then what's actually driving the urge to walk away? It's a disconnect that raises more questions than it answers. And according to Maher, what's really behind this mindset goes deeper than standard political disagreement. What he believes is actually driving it might genuinely catch you off guard.
Like there's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, "I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean." Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday.
And then there are the celebrities. Straight up, the less independent thinking some of them do, the more obvious it becomes. Too often, they seem to echo whatever message is already circulating without pausing long enough to question it or form a view of their own. When a woke cause becomes the moment's trending topic, a wave of famous faces lines up right behind it. When politicians push a grim economic narrative, those same celebrities turn up the volume on that message just as loudly. It creates a pretty clear impression that a lot of these folks aren't really thinking it through. They're just following the script that's already been written for them. And that's where the frustration really hits. These are people with massive platforms, cultural reach, and the kind of audience influence most politicians would trade anything for. You'd expect more nuance, more willingness to push back, more critical thinking. Instead, what you get is a cycle of imitation, public figures repeating political talking points without adding a single ounce of substance. And if you think Maher's done calling them out, think again, because he's only getting warmed up.
There's all the TikToks telling Americans things like,
I think the new American dream is to leave.
I'm 18 years old and I escaped America.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to escape America. That wall we're always debating isn't to keep you in. The New Republic just ran a story about the vulnerable minorities who want to flee America, including the author, a gay man trapped in the dystopian homophobic hellscape that is New York City. I wonder if he knows that there are 66 countries where just being gay is a crime.
Let's be real, it's pretty hard to take seriously the idea that young Democrats are being held inside America against their will. The dramatic declarations, the social media posts, the tearful "I'm leaving this country" videos, they carry a weight they simply cannot support when you look at the actual facts. America is not a closed system. It doesn't restrict its citizens from leaving. There are no exit penalties, no travel bans on outbound Americans, no consequences waiting for anyone who decides to go. Anyone with the financial means and the willingness to meet another country's immigration requirements can walk out the door today. No walls, no barriers, no permission required. And that's exactly what makes these declarations feel less like genuine intent and more like political theater, a performance of dissatisfaction designed to signal values rather than announce actual plans. The real question here isn't whether someone can leave, it's whether they ever seriously meant to. And the follow-through, or the glaring lack of it, answers that question more clearly than any post ever could.
Actually, it almost seems like the world is full of suffering, intolerance, and oppression on a scale we can't imagine. But that can't be true, because if it was, we'd be protesting it. It must only happen in Israel. And if, for your exile, you do wind up in some comparatively luxurious place like Canada or Japan or the UK, not that they want you. At best, you'll be trading a bunch of stuff you hate about this country for a bunch of stuff you'll soon hate about your new home.
And here's the reality that people tend to gloss right over. You scroll through travel feeds or flip past glossy magazine spreads, and what do you see? Perfect beaches, spotless streets, friendly locals. A lifestyle that looks completely effortless and impossibly luxurious. It's a carefully constructed image built to sell a dream, not document a reality. Naturally, it makes it easy to imagine you're looking at a country that somehow figured out everything America hasn't. But here's the part nobody puts in the highlight reel. Every single country on Earth carries its own version of the same weight. Economic strain, political dysfunction, cultural friction. In plenty of cases, real limitations on personal freedoms that would genuinely shock the Americans fantasizing about relocating there. None of that makes it into the Instagram post. None of it shows up in the travel documentary. So while the destination looks like paradise on the surface, there's often a far more complicated reality waiting just underneath it. That's not an argument against curiosity or travel, it's an argument against making sweeping life decisions or sweeping political statements based on a filtered version of what another country actually is.
Only 4 days in Amsterdam to learn that while I admire Amsterdam, I don't want to live there. The buildings are cramped and shaped like needles. The food is awful. The TV's in a different language. It's wet and cold. The people are polite but cold, and they do a bunch of weird... The explanation for, according to my friend, was just remember they're high.
Here's the thing, there's no place quite like America. And deep down, even the politicians and celebrities who spend the most energy criticizing it already know that. A lot of them have traveled extensively. They've lived in other countries, worked internationally, and seen firsthand how different systems actually operate when you're inside them rather than just observing them from a hotel balcony. While they might publicly highlight the appeal of those places, the reality on the ground tends to be a lot more complicated than the talking points suggest. Different systems, different cultural expectations, different legal frameworks, and in many cases, limitations that catch people completely off guard. That's why, despite all the bold rhetoric about leaving, very few actually follow through. It's one thing to make a dramatic statement in the middle of a political moment. It's another thing entirely to uproot your life, leave your network behind, and fully commit to building something new somewhere else. America still offers a combination of opportunity, mobility, legal protections, and familiarity that genuinely is hard to replicate anywhere else on Earth. And when it comes down to the actual decision, the hesitation speaks a whole lot louder than the rhetoric ever did.
He always makes the list of great expat destinations because of all those stories on CNN about how you can buy a house in a quaint Italian village for $1. Except it's not a house in the way we think of one as a structure with plumbing and electricity and a roof. When these places were built, the Leaning Tower of Pisa was still straight.
In the end, what Bill Maher is really pointing at isn't just politics. It's consistency. Here's the deal, you can't spend years calling a country broken, corrupt, and beyond saving, and then quietly keep living your best life inside it, without that contradiction eventually becoming the whole story. Whether it's politicians making theatrical exit threats they never intend to act on, or celebrities amplifying partisan narratives without ever pausing to question them, the pattern plays out the same way every single time. Loud words. Zero follow-through. Now, that doesn't mean America is perfect. Far from it. Real problems deserve honest conversation, real accountability, and real solutions. But there's a meaningful difference between engaging honestly with a country's failures and using those failures as a performance, a way to signal identity, manufacture outrage, and push narratives that don't hold up the moment anyone asks a direct question. Maybe that's the most uncomfortable truth this whole conversation points toward. The people making the most noise about leaving keep choosing to stay. Every day. Quietly. Deliberately. And that choice, repeated over and over, says more about what they actually believe than anything they've ever posted. If this hit home for you, hit that like button and subscribe for more straight talking commentary. We're just getting started.